I'm trying to get the most out of my small single garage workshop, and to do this I am building my version of the ultimate all-in-one workshop solution. To achieve this goal, multifunctionality is my main focus point when designing my projects, and I'm starting by building my mitre planer bench. In my previous video I added the mechanism that's going to allow me to fold my mitre saw down and out of the way when I need to store it, and up into a working position when I want to use it. Because when a tool is out and it is not being used, it really is just wasting space, even if it's a tool that gets used as often as my mitre saw. Now, if you haven't seen the previous video and you would like to, I will link it down below. If you did watch that video, you will notice that there's a bit of a change in the front of the bench. I removed that big panel that was installed over here, which was always meant to be temporary, and I put these two trim pieces in just to tidy it up. There's going to be more done at the front, but for now I'm leaving it open so you guys can see what's happening on the inside of the bench. As I mentioned in my previous video, my focus was mainly at that point on the mechanical side, or the mechanics of the folding bed, getting it to fold down properly and to fold up properly, getting it level with the rest of the bed, getting the locking mechanism working. I explained my decision to move the pivot to the front and to add the gas struts. So in today's quick video, I'm going to make a few changes to the installation I did in the previous video. I'm going to do some very basic cosmetic work, and then most importantly, I'm going to add an extendable top to further increase the functionality of this installation. With the extendable top, the mitre saw installation will have three possible configurations. It would have this one, which would be the working position for the mitre saw with large overhang support. When the saw is folded down, this open cavity will be filled with an extendable top, giving me a large work surface. And when both of the extendable top and the mitre saw is folded down and packed away, this top folds over to give me the smallest possible footprint or configuration of the bench. Now keep in mind, there's still a lot of work to be done with the planer installation, but this would round off the mitre saw installation quite nicely. The first change I'm going to make is to replace the mitre bed. The new bed doesn't include these sides over here because they don't really add the functionality I had envisioned for them. It also gives me a larger base, meaning it will accommodate more or a larger variety of saws, and I will also be moving the toggles to the corners here and dropping the middle, giving me a wider and better support base. Now the assembly of the replacement bed is very similar to that of the original bed, or the bed I built in the previous video. So I'm not going to bore you guys too much with how the bed goes together. If you have any questions, you can check out that video. As I said, it will be linked down below. Another aspect or component of the original bed design that I want to change or upgrade is the upper stop bolt. The bolt that prevents the bed from going past its upper or working position and aligns it with the rest of the top. Now the reason I'm not a fan is because when the pressure is being applied over here, it places unnecessary sideways force on this plate, and though it's unlikely, I want to not have it wear out or bend over time. So this is now the comparison or the difference between the original upper stop mechanism and the replacement one. And I think it is a substantial upgrade because it is a lot stronger and more stable, and I still have the ability to fine-tune the level of the top. Instead of using a bolt as a stopper, I asked a friend who has a lathe to make these, well, sockets. But when I release the plans, as an alternative, I will add threaded bar connectors. After posting the first video, I have already received many requests for plans for this project. Now I do intend on releasing complete plans to this bench, but I will do that once the project is complete. That means when the planer is installed and it is fully operational. Towards the upper sides of the saw cavity, I'm going to be installing paneling. This is just to tidy it up and improve the overall look. As mentioned in my previous video, hardware like the gas struts and the push-down toggle latches can be found on my Amazon storefront. The link will be down below. I'm going to be replacing the rear stop blocks also. By changing the design of the folding bed, I can install wider blocks at the back and reduce the size of the gap between the folding bed and the block. Because I no longer have these bulky overhang support systems that weren't really doing much on the previous bed installation, I can now install wider blocks at the back to close up this gap and tidy up the overall installation. Okay, so now I'm pretty much back to where I was, but with the upgrades, the system should be more solid and stable, and with the cosmetic upgrades, it looks a bit better as well. The next addition is the extendable top, which is basically just a board to fill this cavity when the saw is folded down, and this top is folded over to give me one large work surface. Okay, so this is now the third configuration of the miter saw installation, which is the extendable work surface, which gives me a nice large work table or work surface when I need it. But this wasn't the difficult part of this installation. Adding a board into the cutout with a few cradles was easy enough. The difficult part is, what do I do with this bed extension when it is not being used? I don't want it standing around my workshop, and the solution was actually beautifully simple. I figured I would add a storage spot for the extendable top around the front of the saw cavity. This will give me a place to firstly store the top when it is not being used, but it will also round off the front of the bench and conceal the saw within the saw cavity. So that's the updated version of my miter saw bench with hidden miter saw storage. Well, not 100% hidden just yet, because obviously some paneling missing on the side over here. But I think the small cosmetic and functional changes I made has greatly improved the overall look and feel of this project. With all the tools packed away and the bench in its, well, compact version, it is very easy to roll around or move around the workshop. When I want to use the saw or the top in its extended version, I start by swinging open the primary top. I can then either fold up the saw and lock it in its working position so I can use it, or pull out and install the extendable top section. At this point, I would like to quickly address a few concerns that came up when I posted the original video. Some people felt that this configuration would be ineffective, or the bench would be ineffective, because the top will become cluttered and it would obstruct the use of the saw when I want to fold it up into its working position. I want to note that even though it's possible, the bench is not designed to be my primary work surface. It is supposed to be a multifunctional storage system for my miter saw and my thickness planer. With my miter saw now installed over here, the next step is installing my thickness planer into this cavity over here. Only one tool gets folded into a working position at a time, with the rest of the bench providing overhang or in and out feed support, and so potentially maximizing the functionality or usability of each tool. So that's the miter saw installation now pretty much finalized and functional. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, so let me know in the comments. I will be moving over to the thickness planer or the thickness planer installation very soon, so if you aren't subscribed yet, you should do that now so you don't miss out. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Till next time. Cheers.